Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Spa. The GT Cup Open Europe is about to get underway with their qualifying session. The car's already out on the circuit. As a matter of fact, it's a fairly short and sharp 20-minute qualifying session for these guys today. A good start to our day's proceedings. And of course, they will have a second race later on. It was a very interesting first race that we had yesterday at Spa. Jan Lauritsen taking his second win of the season. You see him second in the queue here on the Kemmel Straight in that 54 car, and he will be looking to try and assume the championship lead here today. He won race 1 at Paul Ricard last time out. He didn't compete in race 2 at all. He had to leave the circuit due to family commitments. That has left him 4 points off of the championship lead at this stage in the season, but he will be looking to try and rectify that and move up to the top of the order today. Here's Camille Perrien in the 217 Porsche, the car with the distinctive Babyliss livery from the Camille Perrien R01 Racing outfit. And plenty of teams here today. Everyone running a Porsche this weekend. A couple of the cars that we saw last time not with us here, but hopefully will rejoin the series in due course. We do have 5 cars from the Q1 track racing stable, the Belgian team. We have GDL Racing here, of course, SP Racing as well, Ginzani Arco Motorsport, and the aforementioned R01 Racing, all present here with Porsche Cup cars of various vintages. So then the outlaps continue on here. Last time in qualifying 1, it was of course Alex Fontana on pole position, but owing to the format here in GT Cup Open Europe, it has to be his co-driver Stefano Borgi who takes this session. Borgi not quite got the same kind of one-lap pace as Alex Fontana, and that means that we could have a different scenario here today in this qualifying session. Of course, Jan Lauritsen a favourite as well. George Morgan here with me in the commentary box. Do you think any of these drivers in this session can take the fight to Jan Lauritsen on one-lap pace this morning?
Well, that's the question. I mean, obviously, based on yesterday, we saw Jan Lauritsen in the race managed to close down on Stefan Borgi after the driver change for the second stint. And obviously, Alex Fontana, who put in such a good stretch in that initial burst. At the same time, it's what you do towards the end of the race that counts, and certainly it was Jan Lauritsen who came out on top. The big question is, can he be topped? I suppose what we've got to remember, depending on where Borgi starts in the race, and obviously we'll have the driver change heading into race 2 this afternoon, is what can Alex Fontana do when we head into race 2 later on today? Because of course he'll be the one chasing Jan Lauritsen. Could be interesting, but it does put pressure on Stefan Borgi today.
Yeah, absolutely it does. They would have a little bit of a success handicap today as well, but of course Jan Lauritsen will have a fairly hefty handicap in the pit stop as well, so that could well play into the hands of other drivers. One person I think we will have to look out for as we see Laurent van der Velde in one of the Q1 track racing cars, but I think a favourite for this qualifying session could well be Dirk Schouten. Dirk Schouten, who took over the 53 car in the second part of the race yesterday, another of the Q1 track racing 992 spec Porsches. Schouten was quicker in race pace than Jan Lauritsen yesterday, and let's see whether or not he can challenge for pole position, having finished second in the 53 car yesterday.
Yeah, and not forgetting as well John de Wilde, who unfortunately wasn't able to break into the top 3 overall, but nevertheless, once again, scooped up the top AM win. Obviously nestling himself a P1 in that class that he's part of, the category of AM, and that makes it 3 in a row for him in terms of that, though despite getting that plaudit, he was in fact disappointed that he wasn't able to get the third place overall, which I suppose is understandable if you consider his pace towards the end of that race, because he certainly looked like he was in certainly a scenario where he could have achieved that, but unfortunately wasn't to be. But I'd imagine he'll certainly look ahead now to this qualifying session. It's certainly a huge opportunity for John de Wilde to go one better than what he did, maybe even one better than that this time, so we'll have to wait and see what he can bring to the table.
Certainly a contender for an overall podium. Here is Dirk Schouten then on his first flying lap. Another driver that we saw just a couple of moments ago at the wheel of the 44 car, one of the older spec 991 spec Porsches, Eugenio Pisani. Pisani usually very quick. I think at Paul Ricard, when he qualified the car, they were on the front 2 rows of the grid, so he could be a favourite here as well. We saw from the body language of the car when it was on screen about a minute ago that it looked as though he was pushing, so we'll see what he can achieve here. First flying laps are coming in. John de Wilder with the early benchmark of 2:32.415. We know they can get down into the high mid 20s. The 2:25 barrier was reached by Alex Fontana yesterday. Andres Josefsson goes faster in the 66 car, the GDL Racing entry of 2:31.237 for the Argentine. And there is that 52 car, that's Laurent van der Velde. Van der Velde had some exciting scraps yesterday as well. And we mentioned Eugenio Pisani, he's just gone top. He's the first driver this morning to break the 2:30 barrier, a 2:29.210 for Eugenio.
Yeah, the sole man in the 29s and below that 30 mark as well. So doing exceptionally well, the Pro-Am driver. Currently sat now top of the table, and we'll look to hold on to that, but for how much longer? We've got a long way to go in this session. 13 within the 20-second mark now. Solieri moves up into 6th place. That's Glauco Solieri as part of the AM Conglomerate 2. And Stefano Borghi now moving up into 3rd fastest as well with a 2:31.594, just in behind Andreas Josefsson and just ahead of John de Wilder as well, who's down into 4th place too. Philip Tunkens in 5th as well, with Camel Perrin currently lined up in 6th ahead of Glauco Solieri. Laurent van der Velde, of course, this weekend on his own this time with no driver change for that car. Dirk Schouten there into 3rd fastest and goes ahead of Stefano Borghi. John de Wilder down into 5th now as a result. Andreas Josefsson still holding on to that 2nd place. Still no one unseating Eugenio Pisani right now. But of course, Jan Larison, he is just pitted out. He is now on an out lap.
Okay, interesting. So Jan did an installation lap, came back into the pit lane, and will now have a go at a flying lap. Won't see what he's capable of for another 4 minutes or so. John de Wilder, though, looking quick. Purple in the middle sector. Around the Blanchimont corner he goes towards the bus stop. Looked like a good line through Blanchimont. On the brakes now into the final couple of corners, and de Wilder nice and tidy there, right on the limit. And let's see what de Wilder's time is going to be. Looks like it could well be a 2:28. Yeah, oh no, a 2:27.934. So he lowered the bar a little more than I anticipated, but 1.3 seconds almost faster than Eugenio Pisani. Pisani, though, is on a quick lap himself, so that 44 car may hop up the order. We've also seen Philip Tunkens go 2nd fastest, and Andreas Josefsson immediately demotes him. So the fast times are coming in. What's Eugenio Pisani's final sector going to warrant? Here comes the 44 car, and Pisani across the line now. Is it going to be a 2:27? Yes, it is. A 2:27.310 is our benchmark then. Eugenio Pisani should be happy with that one. Jan Lauritsen got into the 2:26s yesterday. And Dirk Schouten is on a mission as well. Dirk Schouten in the 53 car through Paul Frere curve. What does this middle sector give us? Well, he's actually a couple of tenths down on Eugenio Pisani. Interesting stuff. So Dirk Schouten in the 53 car pressing on.
Yeah, it certainly is, making his way down through out of Blanchimont very shortly. He's got this next left-hander to take, and then makes his way down towards the bus stop chicane. Purple in the 1st sector, modest improvement in the 2nd too, as he now makes his way into the bus stop. Heavy braking zone, controlled pace. That's what you need at this point. Rumbles over the curb, but managed to keep it on the track as he now makes his way on the exit now, towards the line. Dirk Schouten, where is he going to place himself? It's going to be P1, a 2:26.969, unseats Eugenio Pisani for that top-end spot. John de Wilder down to 3rd place.
You could really see him making up that time, just going through that final chicane. He looked right on the edge, and he's our first driver below a 2:27. I think that as a rule, these 992 Cup cars, looking at what we saw yesterday through this section up towards Le Com, it does look as though the 992 has a couple of miles an hour perhaps in the back pocket relative to the 991 cars. Of course, they are balanced to match each other, but strengths and weaknesses in different cars are inevitable. And it seems as though Schouten is on another fast lap, almost 4/10 quicker in that first sector alone. And here's Jan Lauritsen. He's on his first flying lap. What does his first sector look like? It's a 42.0, which actually isn't on the same level as Dirk Schouten, but of course he is on that first flying lap. So we'll see what yields for Dirk as the, or rather what yields for Jan as the session goes on. Schouten, though, pressing on once again through Jackie Ick's corner. He goes and towards Pouon. And if this middle sector matches the first sector, he could be further stamping his authority on this session.
Certainly could be. Dirk Schouten obviously purple in the first sector. He's now making his way around the Pouon corner, as you so rightly say, Adam, heading through towards Le Fanier. And they'll be making their way in towards the next chicane now. As you can see him worming his way through turns 12 and 13, of course, and then ploughing down towards Campus Corner at turn 14. You can see him there taking a lot of the curb, but not even grazing that gravel trap as he makes his way through on the next right-hander. Now through towards what will be Paul Frere at turn 15. He has found more pace again. He is absolutely flying. Dirk Schouten rumbles over the gravel a little bit. You can see him just trying the limits a little bit, heading through this next right-hander. Next up will be Blanchimont very, very soon as he heads around turn 16, and very shortly Blanchimont as well. Here you can see him just taking a lot of that green, just giving himself better access through this next left, and he is flying around these final few bends as he now heads down towards bus stop chicane. Heavy braking zone, doesn't want to leave this one too late. We've seen a few drivers do that this weekend, but Dirk Schouten certainly showing that he's got a lot of promise here in this qualifying session. Ploughs out of the final chicane, heads up towards the line. What's this improvement going to be? It looks quick as he heads towards the line at 2:25.105. Brilliant work from Dirk Schouten, and firmly places himself in P1 spot, a gap of 2.2 seconds, Adam.
That's very much here. This is what I can do. Try it at your own risk. Dirk Schouten there with a fabulous lap time. I think that's quicker than we saw from Alex Fontana yesterday as well. So Eugenio Pisani, Dirk Schouten really on a mission. Here's Eugenio Pisani though in the 44 car. He's still pressing on. Let's see what he can do at the wheel of the 44 car out of the SP Racing stable. Through Pouon he comes. Oh, bit out wide there. Schouten is improving yet again. Goodness me, the 53 car on a mission. Q1 Track Racing have clearly put something in Dirk's coffee this morning because he is pressing on. Maybe taking some drink-making cues from Dino Steiner in the House Motorsport garage. Who knows? Eugenio Pisani down to third place now, incidentally, because John de Wilder, a 2:27.136. I'm also just noticing that Dirk Schouten's time is down to a 2:26.969, so he's had times cancelled. Sure enough, car 53 time 2:25.105 deleted. Track limits at turn 4, so the lap time we saw out of Dirk Schouten a moment ago has been deleted from the record. Eugenio Pisani not quite matching his own personal best pace to this point in the lap, but let's see what happens when he crosses the line. He's certainly not going to be down in the 2:25s, but is it an improvement upon his best? It's 2:27.50, which is a couple of tenths off his fastest. Eugenio Pisani continues to hunt for lap time. Dirk Schouten continues to hunt for a valid 2:25, and he's well on the way to getting it. 1.4 seconds clear of his 2:26.9 at this stage in the lap. And, well, let's see, firstly, if this lap matches what we saw from him before, a 2:25.1 he had last time, and secondly, let's see if it's legal.
Absolutely. Obviously, off the back of that time deletion, he's going to want to look to make a statement as he heads through bus stop. Oh, you see a little slide heading through that final chicane, but now making his way towards the line now. What can Dirk Schouten show us this time as he heads up towards that line at 2:25.241? Not quite what he did last time, but still fast nonetheless. Jan Lauritsen also heading through the final chicane as well. Let's see what he can bring to the table. Currently sat in P4, Jan Lauritsen has been very quick all weekend. Heads up towards the line as well. As he moves up, second fastest he goes, but not quite enough, no, not near enough to what Dirk Schouten has done so far. John de Wilder still in third place. He was briefly in second, but since Schouten and Lauritsen have come to the table, they've obviously unseated him down into that third place, but he is still the highest placed AM driver right now.
I think Jan Lauritsen probably has a little bit more to find out there on circuit. He was down in the 2:26s yesterday Whether or not he can try and match that time for Dirk Schuiten, I'm not too sure. But keep an eye on Jan. I don't think we've seen the best from him yet. John de Wilde has moved up to second, and that's because Jan Laurissen's time has been deleted again. So another lap time deletion. This time at turn 17, though, so he's done it a little differently. It's usually turn 4 that tends to be the black spot for that. That, of course, being Eau Rouge Radion, and on that occasion, turn 17, of course, being the exit of Blanchimont, where Dirk Schuiten was pushing the limits, where Jan Laurissen was pushing the limits a bit too far. Through the Jackie X corner now goes Laurissen. Can't really push the track limits too far on the exit of that turn because the gravel awaits you and is very eager to greet you. Jan Laurissen, though, pressing on. Still, though, with half a second off the pace already at Sector 1, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to challenge Dirk Schuiten, but really the critical thing for him as the clock ticks down is just to get a legal lap in that shows his true potential.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely spot on. Of course, suffering that time deletion, he's going to look to try and find the time again. Very similar set of circumstances to what Dirk Schuiten had to face earlier on. We've now got 3 minutes and 30 left in the session here at Spa, as we now watch him make his way through this next right-hander out of Paul Frere, and very shortly be making well, certainly send it around turn 16. A little bit untidy there, Adam?
He almost got the gravel. It was very, very close indeed. Made me wince a little bit. I thought he was going to go spearing headlong into the gravel trap, but thankfully just about held it together. And Jan Laurissen presses on. I think that was well within the remits of the boundaries at turn 17, unless maybe he's straying on corner entry, not corner exit. I wasn't paying attention to his corner entry. Nonetheless, Jan Laurissen out of the final corner now. Should be an improvement upon the time he's got registered, a 2:28.5. Yes, it is a 2:26.2. That's a lot more like what we saw from him yesterday as well. I think Jan Laurissen has firmly got the morning cobwebs off, and now he's running to his maximum potential. Eugenio Pisani continuing on around there as well. I think his last lap wasn't a push lap, so this one probably is. Let's see if Pisani can maybe try and interfere on that front row of the grid. He's going to have 2 more laps to do it, including the one he's currently on. Yeah, absolutely. Dirk Schuiten obviously still on top. Jan Laurissen not quite able to break into that second gap. Obviously the delta's still out to a second at this moment in time. Eugenio Pisani coming around the Jackie X bend. Very shortly Pouon will be next on his list. Currently 8/10 down in the first sector. Philip Tunken's also out on a lap as well. He's showing some improvement, but still over 8, just under 9/10 down as well. Jan Laurissen also showing signs of improvement yet again. Not quite enough to dip into Dirk Schuiten territory, but still showing improvements nonetheless here at Spa. So you can just tell that the car is responding to the higher temperatures now, because he's been out on track for quite some time. They're getting that rubber heated as time goes by. Obviously the air itself here at Spa cooler than what it has been all weekend. We have had a few grey clouds coming over the top, which has obviously cooled everybody down. We've been dealing with temperatures 30 to 35 degrees all weekend, so this is different now this weekend. Well, certainly on this Sunday. We'll have to wait and see how this affects the drivers here. Certainly I can imagine John de Wilde will be pleased. He was very sweaty yesterday coming out to the race, but we're now watching certainly Eugenio Pisani heading around Blanchimont, taking a lot of the off track there, just giving himself a little bit of a better access, rumbled over the curb, but kept the car there, that's for sure. Heading into the bus stop now. Pisani, what's he going to land? Currently P4 on the classification right now as he makes his way through. Jan Laurissen once again improved on his current best time, but we'll see what he can deliver. Pisani comes up towards the line and sets a 2:30.575. Yeah, he had firmly backed out of that one quite a while ago by the looks of it. I think decided, looking at the lap delta after Sector 1, I'll just save my tyres and go for one last attempt, and it will be one last attempt for him because we have 30 seconds left to go. This man, Jan Laurissen, hopping over the curve. He should have one more lap available to him should he do it. He comes across the line now with about 20 seconds left to go. Does he cross the line with an improvement? It's a 2:26.234. So he does improve fractionally over what we saw from him previously. But look at that run over turn 18, the first element of the chicane the bus stop chicane, and that was impressively airborne stuff.
That'll wake you up in the morning, Adam. Certainly as he makes his way through, you could just see it coming into the bus stop chicane, rumbling over the curbs. That is how tight it is at the bus stop chicane. You can see now the checkered flag has officially come down now. The timer has ticked away, and so these are the final laps that we're going to be seeing from these drivers. Of course, Dirk Schuiten still on top. He is now in the pits. Very happy and content, I believe, from where he's positioned. Of course, Jan Larison, who's still out on track, needs to try and find that nearly a second delta or deficit right now.
Well, he's cruising out there. We just saw him idling around the circuit. So I think that challenge has already been stifled.
Absolutely, so he will not be improving on his current position, still P2, but Eugenio Pisani could. Currently sat in the 4th place mark and is showing improvements in Sector 1. Let's see what he can deliver in Sector 2 as he heads through this next chicane at turns 12 and 13. Next up, he will be facing Campus as he now makes his way down into the right-hander. And still showing some good signs of pace here, Eugenio Pisani, heading through this next right now.
He's lifted off there. That car's running at half mast, and sure enough, 2.3 seconds off once we get to the middle sector, so he's decided to call it a day as well. So then it seems as though everyone feels they've reached their potential. I'm not sure I agree with Eugenio. I think he could have got himself maybe not onto the front row, but maybe ahead of De Wilde. However, 4th place, still a good starting position for him. Of course, the car started 10th yesterday in the hands of Stefano Zanini. Eugenio Pisani taking the start today, and he'll be looking to try and make inroads on the podium positions in the early stages of the race. Looks though as if Dirk Schuiten has once again topped this session. Not everyone is across the line, but certainly there are many signs of imminent improvement on our timing screens. Fabio Fabiani crossing the line. He remains in 11th place, just a few tenths back from Camille Perrien. So not too far off the pack at all, Fabio Fabiani. We'll see whether he can make some places up in that number 9 car, which is the old original recipe Porsche 991 Cup car, the Generation 1 machine before they made some aero improvements about 3 years into its life. Jan Lauritsen then at the top of the single drivers as well. John de Wilde, of course, is a soloist as well in the AM class. And Dirk Schuiten, our pole sitter, will be sharing with Lucas Valkyrie. So that will be interesting to see how that dynamic, as always, shapes the race that we will see later on today. 2:25.241 at the time for Dirk Schuiten today, a very quick lap time. And he will be looking to capitalise upon that result at 16:15 local time here at Spa, 4:15 p.m. when we go racing in the GT Cup Open Europe Series later on. Jan Lauritsen there on the outside of the front row. He'll be looking to challenge into La Source, certainly. And we will now go and in a moment we will hear from Dirk Schuiten.
Dirk Schuiten, pole position for race 2 today at Spa. And you will go for the victory, right?
Of course, we go for the victory. I mean, the car was really good. It was my first time on the new tires, and it felt good immediately. So I could push for 2 laps. I had a 25.0 in the beginning, but the track limits, of course, at Radion. And then after that, I did another lap, 25.2, and that was good enough for pole position. So yeah, really happy with that, and yeah, I see good chances for the race.
Going for the first victory, the lead in the championship you have already, and today a little bit cooler in Spa.
Yeah, the weather turned around, and I like that because yesterday it was really hot. So yeah, and it feels good to be first in the championship. Good feeling.
Hope you keep it. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there we go. Let's take a look at our top 3. The first of the AM drivers, John de Wilde in the 56 car. He will be starting from 3rd on the grid. Jan Lauritsen, 2nd place in the 54. He'll be on the outside of the front row. And the man we just heard from, Dirk Schuiten, will be our pole sitter for race 2 of the weekend in GT Cup Open Europe. Join us at just after 4 o'clock today to see what happens in race 2 of the weekend for these drivers.